How's everybody doing? I want to welcome you into the 5th episode of the Opinionated 7-Footers Podcast. My name is Ryan Hollins. Y'all know my dog over there, Brendan Haywood, and I got a special guest here today. My guy, not just a former teammate, but honestly, man, one of the best individuals that I know just as a human being. It was, just ask the NBA. He was a 3-time Sportsmanship Award winner, All-NBA second team, and a Teammate of the Year in 2019, 14-year professional, and still playing more years to go. He young, but he got the years under his belt. My dog, Mike Conley. Mike, what's going on, brother?
Man, not much, man. How y'all doing, man?
Man, what's good, Mike, man? Great to have you on the show. Hey, listen, man, you got to bring it. With that type of intro from Ryan, you got to bring the heat.
Hey, man, I'll try. I'll do my best. I'm ready.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, a bit of a run through here, Mike. But, Mike, man, I want to dive into a little bit, of what makes you you. I know your AAU coach was your dad back in the day. He was an Olympian gold medalist, and apparently he coached you in basketball.
Whoa! Don't forget, he was also a slam dunk champion. Now, hey, I remember. Yes, ABC Worldwide of Sports on Saturday. I used to watch Mike Conley's dad getting up. He had bunnies. He won the dunk contest.
Don't tell him that, man. Don't even mention that we talk about this. Don't even cut that out, man. He don't need to.
But Mike, it's safe to assume that you get those sportsmanships from your dad, and I met him. He's an amazing individual, just like you, and he coached you. So, just take me back in time. Was there a moment where there was a selfish Mike Conley? Where your dad taught you the lesson that stuck in there and really helped you become who you are. I'm trying to imagine a selfish Mike somehow.
The selfish Mike. Back in the day, I was probably around 12 years old, 13 years old. We just moved to Indianapolis probably a couple years prior, and I was big into video games. I love video games now, but super huge into them then, and got addicted and just was playing 3-4 hours a day when I get home from school, and took a break from basketball for 2 days. I'm like, man, I'm not playing ball. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna be a video game player. And
what game were you playing?
I think it was one of the it might have been 2K1 or
good choice. The slap in the face is you were playing basketball on the game, but not on the court.
Yeah. So it was a while. I mean, it was the beginning. So it was Dreamcast and all that. I was in it. So my dad gets downstairs and comes out, grabs my controller, throws it against the wall, grabs the system, throws it against the wall, breaking everything, right? So I'm like, man, I'm mad at him. Like, man, what is he doing? Whatever. So the following day we have a league game. We played in a men's league there in Indianapolis, and I'm sitting on the bench, and I ain't done nothing wrong. I'm playing good. I'm doing whatever I'm doing. And I'm sitting down, and he turns around and just starts going off, putting his finger in my face, just yelling, grabbing my jersey, all this stuff. I'm just like I don't understand what's going on. I'm a quiet dude. I'm like, I ain't done nothing. I ain't trying to ruffle no feathers. I ain't trying to be, I'm trying to be a good son, all that. So couldn't figure out what it was, and later on he comes back and tells me, he's like, I just got so mad at those video games. You were not, you were kind of wasting your time doing that when you could be hooping and getting your game together and stuff like that. So that was the first real moment where I tried to be selfish and do what I wanted and just put basketball aside, and my dad was like, you need to concentrate on this.
Speaking of young Mike Conley's hoop career, you had a very interesting AAU teammate in particular, because back then, you were hooping, but you had Greg Oden on your team, and you guys, man, had a pretty special squad. Walk me through that and what that was like.
Man, it was very special. I think the team that we had, we had a squad. We had Eric Gordon on that squad. We had Josh McRoberts on that squad. Daquan Cook.
Come on, man.
You go on the line, man.
Did y'all ever lose? Did y'all ever lose?
We did at some point, but they were far and few between. We won a lot of games with that crew, and with Greg being the headliner.
Team full of lottery picks, man.
Yeah,
team full of lottery picks.
We did. And you know what was special about that team though is you would never know who the lottery pick was on our team, because you would go online, we all averaged 11 or 12 points Like there was nobody averaging 40 or 30 or doing that. We played team ball, and you had guys who, individually could probably take a team and win games, but with the way, you got 5, 6, 7, 8 guys playing that way, we were tough to beat. So it was fun to be a part of an unselfish group.
Mike, I want to throw this to you, man, because and shout out Greg Oden too, man. I played with him in the Big Three last year. One of them, a humble giant, bro. Down. I love that dude for real. I had to text you, Mike, because I'm like, y'all two y'all peanut butter and jelly. Like this is the opposite of the NBA experience. Was there a moment? Take me to like that moment where you either first met Greg Oden or y'all got on the court and it was like, yo, he different. Like this dude right here is different. Walk me through a play or a practice or something he did.
Man, there's so many moments. I think one stands out in particular. We were in high school, and it might even have been as late as our senior year, where he was already really good. He was good, but he hurt his right wrist in our playoff game, or one of our state championship games. And tore a ligament. We didn't know it was torn, but he couldn't grip the ball, couldn't do anything. The dude went out and played left-handed for the remainder of the season.
He was shooting lefty-handed free throws and everything.
Free throws left-handed and cashing them. It's not even like it wasn't even like it looked like it was bad enough. It was going in. Like everything was his hook shots. He was finishing, dunking, everything, blocking shots. He was a man. And I was like, see, if a guy that big, that athletic, has that kind of skill where they lose their whole dominant arm and they able to go out there and do the things that he was able to do. And he even had that injury going into college. So for the first portion of his college career, he's still using his left hand, still shooting free throws left-handed. So it was unbelievable to me to see somebody with that kind of talent. And you think he's just an athlete, you think he's just a big body, but he showed me something else. He showed me something I haven't seen, and that was important for our team. But it was just cool to see that.
If Greg doesn't have the unfortunate injury history, and I think it's important that we say Greg Oden wasn't good because of injuries. I see people say, "Oh, he was a bust." No. A bust is when you get out there and play and you can't play. Like this guy literally just kept having injury after injury, and it was unfortunate. If he didn't keep getting injured, what do you think his ceiling would be? As somebody that played on his AAU team, you were privy to seeing him play a lot more than we did. Yeah.
I hate to, put a ceiling on him and say, he'd be Wilt, he'd be Bill, these kind of guys. But I know that, a guy that reminds me of him in today's league, who's skilled and athletic is Joel. I think Joel Embiid, he's a big bodied, 7-footer that can pass, can dribble, can shoot. And Greg wasn't working on the 3-pointer back then, but I guarantee you if it was in today's league, he'd be shooting threes and be able to do that because he was that talented. But his ability to finish, his ability to be powerful in the post and just basically have to demand a double team, he could have been as good as he wanted to be. And it was just unfortunate that the injuries were something that we weren't, just held him back enough to where we weren't able to see the full potential of what he was able to bring.
Golly, man, I'm getting chills because I'm thinking about the big fella. There was a play. He was in Portland, and I was with the Bobcats at that time, and I'm in against Greg. And he's not always gonna. He's smart. He's not just gonna throw his weight around against you. And Brandon Roy drove, and I stepped up. And Brendan, one of my best abilities in the league is that I can guard 2 people and recover. Mm-hmm. And he dished the ball to Greg. And Greg got in the air so fast. He's one of the, I swear to God, to this day, he's probably one of the only players who I've seen get in the air that fast. And he was dunking the ball before I could even turn around. Yeah. And to see somebody like that big and like, when you stand next to Greg, I'm like, yo, like, this is a big man. Like, this is a big individual. You know what I'm saying? And I'm all of 7 feet, B. Y'all might be more out of eye, but I was like, man, golly. What about, I don't know, you got anything else in college? Because you guys, hold on, if I'm not mistaken, you guys won the championship, right?
In college, we lost in the national championship. We lost
too. My bad. Me and Mike Conley lost in the championship.
Did you lose to Florida too?
Yeah, I lost to Florida.
Oh, then we got a lot in common, brother. God dang, them Gators, man. I tell you what, I had to be teammates with Joe Kim last season, man. It was the best. It was the best worst thing ever, bro. Best worst thing, and Chandler Parsons. So Chandler Parsons is a Gator, so he's, he let me know about it every day. But we still have fun.
And speaking about you, okay, you went to Ohio State, obviously had a great career there. Then you lost in the championship game. Unfortunately, listen, I lost in 2 Final Fours myself, so don't feel bad. None of us got that. None of us got that prize. But then you go to Memphis. You guys, when you step in, are you a little bit nervous? Are you trying to run the team? Because it's different than college. What was that experience like getting there first? And then the fact that you guys were grit and grind, that was a totally different style.
Yeah. No, when I came out, I was 19 when I first got in the league, and when I came in the league, the team that we had in Memphis was all vets. So it was Mike Miller, it was Damon Stoudemire, Stromile Swift, Brian Cardinal. I mean, just bunch of guys.
Cardinal, the custodian. That's my guy. The custodian.
Great.
One of my favorite teammates ever, man. He was one of the best. But we had a good group of vets. So for me to come in, I felt like being a 19-year-old, like how am I gonna command the room and be a leader, be the guy. These guys are gonna have to listen to a 19-year-old. I don't know. We also had Kyle Lowry at the time as well, who just had the injury. That's his rookie year, so he was basically coming into his rookie season. So, we were both kind of in that same gray area. Like, how are we gonna, kind of stick out or stand out and be able to do what we do? So it was a different transition. It was, we lost 60 games or something like that. So that was unusual for me. Like, I'm so used to winning, and having to go through that losing process and rebuilding process was tough. And at the next few years, we got into that grit and grind, adding Tony Allen, adding Zach, obviously Marc Gasol. So for me, it became I had to find my way to blend in with those guys. As even though if I'm a quicker guy, I like to get up and down, all that. But with that team, I had to find my role and found a great one.
Mike, let me come back to that, man, because within losing 60 games, I've been there before. All right, brother. I played in Cleveland in between LeBron, not post LeBron.
That wasn't a good time, brother. That wasn't a good time.
We set the record. This wasn't your championship squad, Brendan. But when you was there anybody, because Mike, the one thing you do is you pride yourself on the defensive end. That's why I love you, because you're not a guard who can score the ball. It's rare that they actually have pride defensive. Was there anybody who just gave you fits? Like, yo, I can't do nothing with this dude. Like, I can guard just about anybody. You got a pride, but like, yo, this dude just tore me up.
Man, I'll tell you what, one would be Tony Parker. For whatever reason, man, I had some terrible nights against him. He would just do whatever. But the one I think that people would probably find surprising, or maybe not, is my guy, Beno Udrih.
What?
Beno? Every time we played, man, every time, Sacramento, wherever he was at, man, it didn't matter. Every time he came in a game, I'd be like, oh, he going left, he getting ready to pull up, and he go to his pull up, he pump fake me, and I get a foul and one. I'm like, God dang, all right, this time he gonna pump fake me. Then he pull up, and I'm like, man, I can't guess right, I can't stop him. He's just making everything. He's backdoor cutting. But yeah, I told him that when we became teammates. I was like, man, I just want to let you know you were one of the guys. I'm glad we're teammates now.
Were you part of that? Because he was on the squad with him. Were you part of that, bringing Beno in there? Shoot, Mike, I remember the training. Hey, it would be
can't beat him, join him.
Exactly.
Hey, Mike, it would be me, you, and Beno in the training room doing getting ankle molds.
Yep. I had to get him on the squad, man. I said I can't see this man anymore. So.
And listen, and like I said, talking about that grit and grind style, that style was unique. It was different because a lot of teams want to get up and down and play fast. You guys really wanted to slow it down and make it more of a old school, I'll say 80s, 90s type of basketball game. That's what grit and grind really is. It's like the Bad Boys, Detroit Pistons reinvented. When did you know that this style would work, that we got something different? Everybody else trying to get up and down, we're going to play it different, and it's going to be good for us.
I think when it was kind of really like that validation moment was while everybody were having a lot of trouble with like the new Golden State Warriors and the way they were playing and up and down and they were dominating the league, we would win the season series with them every year. For whatever reason, our style translated to be able to combat those faster teams and the teams that like to shoot a lot of threes. And so while Golden State was obviously the more talented team, and they had all these guys doing amazing things. Our style of play gave us a chance to beat anybody. And I felt, when we started winning in Golden State and we started, in the playoffs having opportunities to beat them and 6 and 7, they beat us in 6, but we were up 2-1 at one point. I mean, it was a dogfight, and we knew that, and we were confident within ourselves of what we brought to the table. So it was a style that we knew that we were comfortable in and had a chance to beat everybody.
Was there a specific? I know you're the ultimate pro. You gonna buy into whatever's there, but was there a specific game or practice where it was like this could work. Like this could work. Like I know it's a little different. It's a little slower. Everybody's running. I want to run, but we're slowing it down. Was there a game or a moment where you looked around like this is it?
I think I can't pinpoint the game, but I can tell you how the game ended. We might have had 67 points or 70 points for the game. Like
with the 3-point line?
With the 3-point line, man. With the 3-point line. So that kind of a game, I forget who we were playing. It might have been Detroit or somebody. I forget who it was, but
and you won that game with 67 points?
And we won. It might have been. I might be exaggerating, but it could have been. It was a low scoring game, and what we all got out of that was that like we didn't even shoot the ball well. Nobody made anything. We're just.
Who was we?
You weren't on that squad.
Okay,
This was probably like the Rudy Gay. This was probably the 2011, 12, somewhere around there. So Rudy Gay was on that team, and obviously Zach and Tony, Mark. Darrell Arthur. We had we had a bunch of Gravis Vasquez might have been on that team.
Oh yeah, from Maryland. Yeah.
Yeah. We had
6'5" big guard.
Oh, he was a big guard. Unbelievable, man. The way he. He's a magician with the ball, the things he could do. We had a really good team. OJ Mayo was on that team too. So we had a pretty deep roster. And like I said, we had a lot of guys just not making shots and doing things, but we beat a really good team just through defense and grinding out. Like Zebo got the tough rebounds and the putbacks, and we throw it into Mark and he finished over people. It was just okay, when things aren't going our way, we at least know we have this to back up to, and we kind of made it who we were.
And obviously that style is a lot slower than probably fits in with your game, because like playing against you, you're one of the faster, quicker guards that I have had to hedge out on. Like, I'm not going to lie. I used to hate hedging out. like hedging out because you were so fast and quick, you would cut it, you would slide in between, you would split the trap. Then the next time I wouldn't come out enough, you go right around me.
Right.
But when you look at the style and with your speed and agility, you kind of had to give a lot up of your game to make this grit and grind work. And then when you take it to, let's say, all-star time, when all-star votes are coming in and your name isn't mentioned, even though the team is winning and you're obviously sacrificing your game to win, how did you feel about that? Did you feel like you were getting slighted, that you should have been an all-star?
If you asked me that a few years ago, I would definitely say that. I always felt slighted. I always felt like I should have been an all-star at some point. I mean, like each year, it was another excuse of why, I fell short of it. One was because I didn't score enough or didn't have enough, assists or stats, whatever it was. And the next one was like, oh, well, you got all that, but your team isn't in the top 4 or 5.
Where'd you get these excuses from? Was this fellow coaches or you know how
they talk? Like, coach will talk to other coaches and they'll say, it's just whatever, and you hear it and you read it in the media or you read it in the article or something like that, and comparing who made it and who didn't and things like that. And I was into that at that time, like, man, because I was so close, I felt. But I mean, there was even like a year that stuck out. I was like super hurt about it. It was like, I think we had worked our way up to like the 2nd seed and going into All-Star break. And I was like, oh yeah, there's no way I don't make it this year. Because they told me that it's because this, we were the 7-8 seed last year going into January, February. Now we're number 2 and we're ahead of number 3 by like 4 games. Like, we're good. And we were one of the only teams that had one All-Star out of the top 7-8 playoff teams. So it was like, at that point I was like, man, I don't know what else, I can do, because I'm one to play within the system, and I don't want to go out there and try to shoot the ball 25 times just to prove that I belong on that stage, because it wasn't my role and it wasn't who I am. So I just stayed in my role and continued to win games, and had opportunities in the Western Conference Finals, things like that with that squad, and made it work.
And you talk about, at some point you got over it, and Mike, something tells me that 5 years, 153 million will help you get.
Hold on, Rod. Say that number again, man.
5 years, 153 million, Mike. And, I was on the team with you. We would joke about you getting the bag and all that, and it was, hey, dinner's on Conley, dinner's on Mike.
When I say he got his own money, I say the boy got his own money.
No, but I mean, it was the irony is that the humble guy gets at this point in time, whatever, you're in history, the biggest contract in NBA history at the time. Talk to me about that. Was it like, man, maybe this all-star thing was cool, I need to score the points, or, was there a target on your back? Talk to me about the thoughts, feelings, and emotions, or, what was that conversation like when, you and the wife talked, or you and the agent was like, no, this is real.
Yeah, no. Well, I remember like yesterday, obviously, man, it was crazy, just because, like you said, like all the missed marks I had in my career, like all the accolades I was reaching for and never got opportunity to have. And then that comes up as like, you're going to do something historic here this offseason, and I'm like, I can't imagine, I can't fathom it. But, talking with my pops, who's my agent, he, was just like, yeah, this is what Memphis is, wanting to do, and this is where you want to be, and like, all that. And I would just talk to my wife, talk to my mom, my cousins, everybody, and we we're just like, yeah, this is about to happen. Like, I don't know what's about to come from it on the other side, but we knew that this was a big day, and from that point on, like, it's like my world changed, everything changed. Just like you said, there was a target. There was people were like, oh, he got that. Let me show that I can do this against him, or, do just as much as he can, so I can earn that amount, or whatever it may be. So every night I was having to, not only defend what, my contract was, but I'm fighting off people trying to show off that they can prove that they can belong in that same category. So it was the best time for me competitively, man, because I just got to compete at a high level every night.
Man, yeah, like I said, 153 million people going. It definitely puts a target on your back. And listen,
forget the All-Star game.
Yeah. Now listen, I've made an eye living, and so has Ryan, but we ain't never touched 153. Was there anything that you did out of the ordinary? Because you're so quiet and low key, but when you got that 153, you're like, yo, pops, all right, I got to splurge on this. Was there one thing that you just said, I'm gonna get out my regular bag and be rich Mike Conley for one day?
Well, you know what happened is I it wasn't like buying cars or anything like that, man. I was like, man, you know what? I want to fly on a private plane. Like, I want, what I'm saying? I said fly now, not own, not none of that. Like, we ain't talking about none of them levels. Like, I just want to, we fly somewhere. I want to do this whole deal, and we did it, and that was like that moment where I was like, I did it. I got to do what I always wanted to do, and I didn't want to make it a regular thing now, but that was something I really wanted to, splurge and have a good time and take my family and my boys or whatever and travel and have some fun.
Now, Mike, let's get back to those grit and grind days, because you had the privilege of competing against, and all of us here against, man, the late, great Kobe Bryant, man. And the one thing we remember Kobe for is just the laser focus, a big comeback. He popped us all at one point in our careers. I can think about him, grabbing teammates by the shoulder, hitting fadeaway jumpers, or someone trash talks him, or elbows, or is there any competitive stories you got of Kobe where you had a firsthand eye to, like, man, like, all right, this dude right here is a little different?
Yeah, man, plenty of them, man. He by far is one of the most competitive guys I've ever run across. And being that we got to play against him while we had a guy like Tony Allen, who I think he even said was one of the best defenders he's ever played against. guarding him, and being able to watch that kind of a matchup, two of the best at their position and what they do. Kobe being one of the best ever, it's unreal to see his ability to use his footwork, to use his mind, to use the time and possession of games, and know when to take over and when to get guys involved. And man, he was just an unbelievable guy. And to be able to have competed against him for so long was just a treat for me. But I even got the chance that one game I think we played in LA. We were up by like 2 or 3, like clock was running down, and whoever was guarding me didn't foul me, and he was underneath the rim, like yelling to foul. And so instead of the person fouling me, he runs all the way from the underneath the basket, like charges at me, and I'm like, oh my God, like what's about to happen? So I'm like, I just dribble the ball to the left a little bit and like kind of throw it out, and he wraps me up, and he's like obviously livid and upset, but that kind of mindset he had, like he knew time to score, he knew everything, and for whatever reason he just took it upon himself, like he always does, to make that play.
And listen, Kobe, obviously one of the best that's ever done it. Another legend in the game, and that's Mr. LeBron James. Like everybody likes to compare LeBron and Mike. I think that's kind of unfair because they're in different eras. Kobe and Bron were in the same era. So like when you look at these two, whose game stuck out the most or was the most diverse to you or gave your guys the hardest problem? I asked you that because Memphis was such a good defensive team. So which one of those guys really like, you know what, we got to shift everything a little bit more for this guy? Was it Kobe or was it Bron?
Yeah, that's a great question because they're so different to me. You know, I think that Bron brought a different element of, he was like a point guard with the ball. Like he handled it to the point where you just knew, like when he's coming downhill, there's nothing you can do. Try to stand in front and take a charge. And a lot of guys don't want to do that. Like when you got 265 pounds running at you like that. And LeBron developed his game over the years to where he's, knocking down fadeaways, he's posting up, he's pulling up for 3, he's doing everything. So you kind of had to treat him differently because it wasn't like you just send double teams to him because he's not just thinking about shooting right, or doing everything. He's thinking about a lot of other things. And Kobe, like he was the best scorer, like he was the best player. You know what I'm saying? You just couldn't stop him. So you put him on the block and he gets the ball. It's like you send a double team, but he's still gonna score. Nothing you can do. He has the ball at the end of the game. Like you send a double team, he'll dribble away from it and shoot it anyway. Like it's like you just knew that he was gonna make the plays when plays need to be made. And he, that's just who he was. He had that mentality as one of the best in the game to ever do that. So, it can't pick one or the other. Like,
come on, Mike, man, you got to pick one, baby.
They're different. They're totally different to me. They're totally like Kobe. Look, Kobe
is such a nice guy.
I knew he wasn't gonna pick. Nah.
Kobe and MJ have more similar game to compare. Like I can compare them to, and I'm a MJ fanatic from being in childhood, obviously the idol and all that stuff, and being able to compete against Kobe is awesome. But those two are like, in the same realm to me as far as like their comparable games. Like LeBron just does a lot of things that not a lot of guys can do, and it has a wide variety of things.
Did you have a LeBron moment? I know for me, I talked about this on a previous episode. I always knew he was talented, but there was a play in transition in the playoffs where they get a steal, and I forgot who threw him the lob, but obviously the lob was way too high. And LeBron reached all the way back to Akron, and he brought that thing all the way back to Cleveland. And you know how live that crowd gets. I remember running behind him thinking, oh, my God, he actually caught that. Do you have any moments like that where you were like, yo, I can't believe he just did that at 265 pounds?
Plenty of them. I think for me, while playing against him has been, how he does his thing where he'll act like he just jogging back on defense and he'll just sprint and just jump from wherever and block the shot. Like,
yes,
I was a victim early, before Golden State, before the championship block, for all that. I was one of them early victims that I got a steal in transition, which I was cool. I led the league in steals. I was excited. That's what I do. And I got a steal out there. I'm like, oh, it's an easy bucket. He wasn't even in the picture. Never saw him. Never even thought to even look. And I go lay it up off the glass, and just something came. There's like a wind or something. I felt just came over top of me.
Just the wind, huh?
Just the wind. It wasn't even. I ain't hear no feet. I ain't hear no squeaking. Nothing. Just the ball was gone. And I'm looking like, what just happened? Turn around, and LeBron blocked my shot. Everybody, in Memphis is screaming because they got a lot of LeBron fans at that point too. So I was just like, man, this guy, like, I don't even know what to say. So.
And I can imagine, Mike, out of all people, you're one of the fastest guys in the league.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no one even, when you get the ball, it's like, man, let them go. So chasing you down, that's a whole nother thing, man. Let's switch gears here, man. You're throwing a little bit of MJ. And I remember when I was in Charlotte, he was, he was president, then he grows into owner. And the first time I ever met MJ, he was, met him, just saw him. He pops into the practice, and I swear practice was going on, and I just felt this like glow in the background, and like he was like everything around him was glowing, and like my mind was just going crazy. Like, bro, like that's MJ. I couldn't focus on practice. Was there a moment? You have a moment like when you first met MJ, or an exchange you had, or you guys chopped it up or played some pickup ball or anything?
Man, I honestly, the first time I met him, I was a kid. I was lucky enough to meet him because my dad was a part of a charity golf event. And my dad doesn't golf or anything. So my dad was just there to be there for whatever. Yeah. So I'm there watching him, and my dad comes over and he says, Michael, I want to introduce you to somebody. And I'm like, all right. So I walk over, and it's Michael Jordan. And I'm just, I froze. I didn't say a word. I didn't say nice to meet you. I don't even know if I shook his hand. I don't know what happened. My next memory is just a photo of me and him. Like, he has hands on my shoulder. It's a photo. I don't remember nothing in between, man. I was probably in shock. But the reason why, obviously, he was such a big reason why I play the game. He's a big part of our family because, I mean, my brother's name is Jordan. So, like, Michael and Jordan, it was like my dad was a fan, being from Chicago. So, I mean, it was a big part of our life, and just really cool to meet him.
Now, Mike, how many years did you spend in Memphis?
I spent 12 years there, I believe.
12 in Memphis. Okay. Because that's a long time to play in one place. And I know I spent 8 years in DC. And when I left DC and went to Dallas, everything was different. How they practiced, the coaching staff, everything, like my role on the team, everything was different. And it took some time to get used to it because I was used to things being a certain way. We get comfortable. Mm-hmm. When you went to Utah, did you feel that same type of uneasiness because you've been in Memphis for so long playing the grit and grind way, and now you're in Utah? There's another dominant ball handler there. When we talk about young Donovan Mitchell, I love that kid. He's a stud. Oh, yeah. Was there an adjustment period for you? Like, was it like, man, this feels foreign?
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, from the language they used to, call plays out, like back doors and, just regular pick and rolls or whatever I call pick and rolls, and you and I call a back cut or something like that. It's like we have a whole language here. So, like, I had to get used to that. And I'm like, man, that's different. And as we get to go into playing, just learning, new guys, a different style, just being so heavily, dominated by throwing the ball inside to, Mark and Zach, and playing, a pick and pop game and going backdoor cutting, all these things that I've had to do over my last 12 seasons to now, having to shift to, throwing lobs to Rudy and looking for, cross skip passes and pushing the ball and shooting a lot of threes and, things that we do here very well. And like you said, having another ball handler and Donovan, and Emmanuel and Jordan Clarkson, all these guys, it takes some time to adjust to because now I'm having to spend more time off the ball, spend more time, looking to try to affect the game in different ways when previously, I was, predominantly the main ball handler, and just had to try to adjust to not seeing the ball as much and being effective while doing that.
Now, speaking about Donovan, man, I know from afar, if you like NBA basketball, you like Donovan Mitchell. He's one of the emerging young stars. That's just a fact. We're gonna put that out there. In my mind, he was clearly the rookie of the year. We're not gonna go there. We're not going there. That's not what it's about.
He would have got my vote.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there a play that he's made, or when you saw him in practice when y'all are playing, and like kind of like yo, like this kid he's different right here. He's different. I ain't seen too much like him because he reminds me of he's a little different than Dwayne Wade. He's not quite Wade, but as a big guard who can handle, get in the lane. Talk to me about, is there one play that, walk me through it, that stands out from Donovan?
I think he's another guy that does things on a daily basis that would wow you. But like in practice, training camp, or whenever it was, we would be scrimmaging, playing 5-on-5, and this guy would come down the court, take a screen to the middle, bring it to the middle of the paint, pull up to shoot a jump shot, and he already knows he's missing it. So like he shoots it and starts sprinting to the rim, like two steps maybe, and it hits like the back of the rim, bounces off of the front. He jumps up, catches it with one, and dunks it over everybody.
He's catching his own miss off the rim. Who does that?
Not at 6. He's like 6'1", 6'2". Apparently,
he's only
with the new height thing.
Wow.
So imagine that's like me. I'm not as tall as him. I might be a little shorter. It's like me throwing it up there and bouncing, just jumping right back up and dunking it. Like that ain't happen. And that's special.
That's definitely. And then you guys got to have to be the nicest backcourt in the NBA. I had a chance to meet Donovan Mitchell coming out, and I was like, and this is in Chicago pre-draft camp. I'm like, Donovan, are you going to stay in the draft? He's like, I don't know. What do you think? Should I? I'm like, yeah, I'm hearing you're going to be a lottery pick. Like he just seemed like he was just so humble, and you have that same type of humble nature. But this is something interesting that I read. You've never got a technical foul?
Come on, Mike. That's hard, Mike.
No,
I'm like, you guys are the nicest backcourt ever. How have you never got a technical foul, Mike? Especially when the refs are bugging. Sometimes they bug out. All right.
Well, I played with some teammates that got to the ref before I did. Zach Randolph, Tony Allen. They took them for the team, man. I played with a bunch of guys. I played with Gil. Shoot, I played with Gil for a little bit, and when he got angry, he would let them know too. So.
There wasn't one day where you just looked at the ref and was like, man, that's come on.
You know what? I've talked to the refs that way before, but I think it's because I talk to them on a certain level all the time that when I do say something crazy, they be like, hey, Mike, calm down. Like they try to calm me down as opposed to, thinking it's time to give him a text. So, you set a good first impression, man. It goes a long way.
Man, listen, when I'm putting it together, it's believable, man. But I know as a guy, if you play 3 to 5 years plus, you got to be in history with that. Like, I would assume it's got to be in the back of your mind somewhere. Like, nope, this history, don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a few this year where I almost lost it. And I thought, like, I've gone too long. I gotta keep this together.
Mike, we want to close out, man. This is our classic banger right here, man, of a question. Mike, you talked a little earlier about meeting Michael Jordan the first time, completely froze up, and we have some fun with all of our guests, man, everybody on the Opinionated Pod. Is there a moment where, you either went to a nightclub or a lounge or met your favorite celebrity, and it was just an amazing story? Brandon always jokes with me. I was in Minnesota one time, and Prince flew by, and I swear he floated across the floor. Next thing I noticed, just the whole club was different. Like, was that Prince? And
right.
Black Eyed Peas, everybody was in there. Just Prince did some wild stuff. Was there a moment where you, like I said, either met your favorite celebrity, or someone came in, or you met her, just one of those odd nights in a club? You look over and it's like, yo, like is that who I think it is over there?
Right. I've told this story before, but I think the randomness of this story, like, was the thing that kind of caught me. Was like one night I'm in Ohio, and I'm out eating dinner with my wife and a couple friends, and I get a call, and I answer the call, and it says, "What's up, Mike? It's Ye." And I'm like,
Ye who?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, like, Ye. And then he's like, "It's Kanye. I'm like, oh shoot, really? Like, it's like I froze. I was like, really? Like, yo, what's up? Like, good to meet you, whatever. Because I was a big fan of his work and what he does. So I'm just sitting there like, man, I don't know what to say back. And he's just like, man, I just want to tell you, I appreciate what you do, love your game, you're my favorite player. Let's link up sometime when you're out this way, and all that stuff. And I'm just like, cool. Like, and I hung up the phone, and if you could see my face, man, I was just sitting there, just stunned, just sitting there, like, and like, who was it? What happened? You know, it's like, y'all won't even begin to know what happened.
How did he get your number? So randomly, Kanye was just like, just want to let you know, you're my favorite player. I played with you a lot on the video games. Gotta go, Mike.
I don't know. He didn't say all that, but he did. I guess he hit up one of my boys who lives out in LA, and they got connected through some way, and my number got gave out to him, and he contacted me. So I was like, man, you know, that's what's up, you know, because I
really dope right there.
Really thought it was cool.
Yeah, Mike, I'd have been looking at you like, man, what's wrong with him? Why he got that look on his face? Like, why is he looking starstruck? Right. He's the biggest name in the restaurant, man. Right. But shoot, man, I couldn't appreciate you more, man. Still to this day, one of my favorite teammates that I played with, man. We appreciate you coming out, man. The Mr. Selfless Award, it goes, no technicals, you know, no nothing, man.
NBA horse champion.
Oh,
yeah. NBA horse champion.
NBA horse champion. I tell you what, too. Hey, listen, I don't know what you spent your $153 million on, but that court you have at your house, that is top notch. Listen, man. I was like, yo, he got his own practice facility in there, man. Everybody else is playing horse. They shooting on outside bent rims. Mike got a full-on NBA facility on the back of his house. That's what $153 million to do, man.
They ain't tell me there was no requirements on this on the horse challenge. So God. I just said I just accept it, man.
But that's a cheat though. And when I saw the list come out, Mike, I knew you was gonna win. We would be in practice, Brendan. And, you know, one day, you know, Coach Yeager's like, hey, man, you know, everybody shoot free throws with your offhand. Let's see who can get it. You know, a certain amount of money into the pot. Let's see who we get. Mike is laughing like, y'all want to double down? You sure I'm in this? He comes out because as a lefty, he shoots with his right hand. I mean, easy. And it's funny. I don't want to say it. I hated this part about your game, Mike, when I was on the other side. No. You're one of the only guards, and I've told you this, when you go to the hole, Brendan, I'm always timing like, all right, he's a lefty, you know, make him finish with his right hand. I'm putting this thing on the glass. Mike Conley floated me in the NBA playoffs about 3 or 4 times with the right hand and was just laughing. I'm in the stance, I'm baiting, I'm faking. Yeah. He just floated me easy.
Yeah, man, I needed it, man. You know, I'm a little dude, so I can't mess around with you big guys and knocking me on the floor and stuff like that, man. So I gotta use it.
Definitely an underrated part of your game. I mean, my coach is like, make him go right. I'm like, yo, he can do that too.
Right.
Yeah, man. But like I said, Mike, we appreciate you. Thanks for coming on with us, man. You were a great guest. I wouldn't have expected anything less.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. And maybe I'll be back on here again sometime.
Oh, heck yeah, man. You
man. Hey, man, meet me back at NBA TV studios. I got another 7-hour night.
Nah. I ain't ready. Talk to me in about 4 years, man. We'll talk about it.
All right, Mike. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, brother.
All right, now.